Hey friends, Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Jobu, and as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Jobu Sports Report. Because without you guys, well, I'd be sitting here talking to Jobu and giving him a refill on my own. And before I forget, let me go ahead and get him that refill right now. Because we definitely don't want any bad mojo for our Dallas Cowboys. Unfortunately, we're getting to that time of year where soon we won't have much football really to talk about until really training camp opens. Yeah, we've got the mini camps, which are great, and the good news is there is no news. We don't have any injuries, any fights, anything like that, any bad news, because this is just basically the team trying to input the offense and the defense and stuff together. It's just basically a lot of classroom more than anything else in walkthroughs. So we've got that, of course. Now, the interesting thing is ESPN has come out and said they think that the Dallas Cowboys are the odds-on favorite to win the NFC East. Well, that's good, because as one of their people there says, even a broke clock is right twice a day. Well, here's the thing. Truth be told, winning the NFC East back-to-back is not an easy thing to do. In fact, it hasn't happened since 2003 and 2004 with the Philadelphia Eagles winning it back-to-back. Even teams that have gone through and won the Super Bowl, like the New York Giants, didn't win it the next year. So it's a tall order, because in the NFL, when you win, everybody wants what you got. They want your coaches, they want your players, and they want to beat you. And for the Dallas Cowboys, that always goes without saying. We have a very tough schedule on paper by the way it looks right now. I mean, we got to play the AFC West. When you think about Denver, you think about the Super Bowl 2 years ago. You think about the Raiders and Derek Carr. You think about San Diego. You think about Kansas City. And, of course, every game in the NFC East. Doesn't matter what the records are. You can throw that out the window, because a lot of times they'll kind of come down to the wire and it could go either way. So it won't be easy to win the NFC East. But I believe that the Cowboys, and I've said this before, have the advantage. See, last year wasn't a fluke. That offensive line has been there for several years. And you look at 2014, when Tony Romo was healthy, what we were able to do with that offense. High scoring, same type of a deal. So it's not like it was something that just came out of nowhere and was high flying. And with our team being in the position it's been in, it's not been that we've had a great defense. We've had a good defense consistently. Now, the way I look at it, because a lot of people will say, well, the Dallas Cowboys defense is going to take a step back because, they lost all these veterans. Well, most of the veterans were average at best that we lost. I mean, let's face it. Come on. As much as they try and talk about Morris Claiborne being a number one draft pick, he never, ever showed it on the field. There was not one guy out there that was dominant. I can understand if we were losing guys like a Darrelle Revis or a Deion Sanders in their prime off of the defense. But the guys we're losing, Brendan Carr, Barry Church, Morris Claiborne, is there a Pro Bowl between all of them? Seriously. So I still believe our defense will be better with some younger, new talent on the field. Our offense, it's the same offense from last year. There's no upheaval. You've got a young stud running back, Zeke Elliott, who was the NFL rushing champ. You have a quarterback who now they can open up even more of the book to him, who is healthy right now and working out, something that our team hasn't had in past years. Because in past years, Dez was hurt or Tony Romo was hurt. Somebody was always hurt. Ain't nobody hurt on the Dallas Cowboy team. Now, of course, you can start looking at the rest of the NFC East, because it's not just about the Cowboys and what they can do. It's also about what the other teams have done and what they can do. So let's start with the Eagles. The Eagles, I'm still not sold on Carson Wentz. That's just me. Yes, they've signed some good players. They got LeGarrette Blount, which definitely is a good running back, but they already had a decent running game to begin with. It's wide receivers that were really their problem. It was the offensive line that was their problem. So I still think they have a ways to go. And I'm sure I'm going to be hearing all of you Philadelphia Eagle trolls that are telling me that I'm an idiot. Well, you guys also said I was an idiot last year when I said that Dak Prescott was better than Carson Wentz. But your argument changed to 5 years from now, Carson Wentz is going to be better than Dak Prescott. Yeah. It's no wonder you guys don't have a ring. So then let's go to the Washington Redskins. The dumpster fire, as I always like to call it. They're part of that Washington, D.C. bad mojo gang. They are literally the Charlie Browns of sports. Because it seems like every year they think that this is going to be the year. Whether it's the Nationals can be on fire all year long and then choke in the first round of the playoffs. The Capitals, #1 seed, and they choke in the playoffs. Wizards, well, last time they won something was 1978 with Wes Unseld. And then it is the drama queens, the Washington Redskins. Yeah. The team that actually has a quarterback in the top 5 in yardage completion, and they don't want to sign him to a long-term deal. They lost G-Jax, Deshaun Jackson. They lost Pierre Garçon. I still don't think their offensive line is that good, and their defense is not that great either. They'll win some games. It'll be close with us and the Cowboys, but I don't really believe that they have what it takes right now to win the division. So that leaves us with the New York Giants. Yeah, the New York Giants. They've made some moves. Brandon Marshall, definitely an upgrade over Victor Cruz. But here's the thing about that. Passing wasn't the problem, or the receivers weren't the problem. They had good receivers last year. They had a great receiving core last year. The problem is they couldn't run the ball. And they couldn't protect Eli because the offensive line stunk. And then, of course, there is Eli Manning, the turnover machine that he is. So if you have to rely on the pass, you don't have a good offensive lineman, and your quarterback's a turnover machine, what is Brandon Marshall going to bring to you? Other than another guy who's going to want the ball and is a diva. So I don't necessarily see that working out because they really didn't address the offensive line or get a running back. So that leaves us still with our Dallas Cowboys. I believe the Dallas Cowboys are a more complete team. You can't do anything more on that offense. And I know a lot of people say, oh, the Cowboys lost Doug Free and they lost Leary. Well, part of Leary's success was also because of the people around him. Part of his success was great coaching. Part of success was just being in the right place at the right time. Don't get me wrong, he will be missed. But I look at Collins and him as basically about the same type of a player, skill level wise. And then there's Doug Free. Doug Free, he'll be missed, especially in his leadership role in the locker room. Don't get it twisted. Doug Free's had some good years and some good games. But Doug Free was more of a shell of himself than he was a quality tackle anymore. Doug Free was letting guys free. Doug Free was having a lot of penalties when you didn't want them. Doug Free was going off sides or holding at the wrong time or letting guys go that caused a strip fumble. So I think that we're going to be able to upgrade that position, or at least, it won't be that hard to at least make that a wash. Your receiving core is coming back, which is actually a benefit because they know the offense. They know Dak Prescott, and they're going to be able to take steps further along. You got Sean Lee coming off of his best season as a as a Dallas Cowboy ever, healthy the whole season. You've got young guys on the defensive line that are hungry, that I think are going to do better. You've got the X factor in Jalen Smith, and you've got some young studs that are coming in with some guys who are quietly nobody talks about. All they talk about is Brandon Carr being gone and talk about Morris Claiborne being gone, but they don't talk about Anthony Brown having a second year after a great rookie one. They don't talk about Byron Jones, who quietly is a really good safety. They don't talk about Orlando Scandrick, who now is 2 years away from that knee injury and will be in a better position. They don't talk about that veterans that are out there that are now having to fight for time on the field. So I do believe that the Dallas Cowboys, if they can stay healthy, should be able to take the division. Now, of course, I said that long before ESPN did. You guys can go back through and check. So as always, friends, I want to thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Joby Sports Report. And I look forward to live streaming with you guys tomorrow night. And I've got a special surprise that I'm working on, and I can hope that I'll have it ready to go for tomorrow's live streaming. Have a great night and be safe out there.